Hey everyone, welcome to Aerobic AF. I'm Ken.
And I'm Quinlan. This is HYROX Happy Hour, where we cover all things HYROX, race recaps, training takeaways, and the latest from the world of hybrid racing.
Grab your favorite drink and let's get into it. All right, Q, it was a very eventful week, but we are back on the ground in Toronto following the World Championships in Stockholm. I guess welcome home. Welcome back to Canada.
Welcome home indeed. The jet lag is really making me miss Sweden a lot more. I wish
5 a.m. wake-ups.
Yeah. It's hard coming back home for a lot of reasons. Jet lag aside, it was just such an amazing time away. And I mean, we both had never been to Stockholm before, so just getting to see the area, the culture was so amazing. And obviously the HYROX races themselves were amazing, pretty dramatic, actually. There was a lot going on. So it feels like we were away for a while, but it was only like 9 days.
Yeah, it did feel like a very long trip. And yes, this will be our entire championship recap. So we're going to be going through the E15 races. We'll go through all races, like just our big takeaways from the weekend. But I did want to start with like the city itself and kind of just your impression of the choice of Stockholm for the host city and like what you thought about it.
Yeah, I was thinking about this actually because I feel like picking a European destination in summer can be kind of dodgy because it's super busy. Like obviously everyone wants to vacation there and it's beautiful. But I realized since it was actually midsummer in Sweden, most of the people in the city actually go up north and they go away. It's like a holiday and long weekend for them. So I do think the city itself was rather quiet, and that probably led to a good opportunity for HYROX to be like, well, we'll just take over this stadium and kind of massive venue and really the whole city. We saw billboards like everywhere. It was everywhere.
It was definitely on the forefront there. I mean, the first day that we got there, we made our way down to the waterfront and there was a little HYROX
We got some
booth.
Free spectator tickets.
Yeah. So they were definitely pushing the event, which is good to see. And yeah, I mean, you can really tell the people that are there for the events. Just everywhere you look, there's just super fit people.
A lot of people running, and we were trying to figure out who, like even on our flight over, was a HYROX athlete. We did see, I think like one or two. There was a women's doubles pair, Carol, and I forget the name of her partner. But we spoke to Carol and met her when we were boarding the plane. That was very sweet. And then, of course, on the way back, there was like 1,000,001 people on our flight.
Yeah. On the way back, it was definitely a lot more jammed. I think we were ahead of the curve because we went a bit earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, amazing city. Everything's so walkable. Which
really walkable.
I think that's something that European cities do well.
Yeah. Like even on Google Maps, looking ahead of time, it's hard to judge how long it will take to get from point A to point B. And then when we got there, we're like, oh, we're already there. Or it's actually only 3-minute walk away. So definitely got a really good feel for kind of the heart of the city. We were in, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, but Gamla Stan, Old Town, and then Södermalm. So that's where we spent majority of our time outside of when we were at the venue, which was about a 15-20 minute drive just north of Stockholm in Solna at Strawberry Stadium, which, fun fact, is where Taylor Swift performed when she was in Stockholm last summer. And it's actually where she recorded and produced Life of a Showgirl. So that felt meaningful for me as a Swiftie to get to experience what she did, and I can see why she loved it so much. So much culture, beauty, art, and good vibes.
I think one thing the European cities do better than we've done in the North American cities, well, part of the reason is they've just been around for way longer, but you can just tell that there's that sense of history, and like it just seems like it's been there for time. Even like the
Yes.
architecture in the buildings, like the streets are all cobblestones. Like it just gives you like there's a lot more depth to everything that's happening.
It's
everywhere
really
that you're walking.
charming, very charming. And the way I've been describing it is that the landscape looks like Muskoka, which is like Ontario cottage country, but the buildings are like a shrunken down version of London. Lots of pastels, lots of red and yellow buildings, beautiful, kind of like farm style, and just overall very cute. I feel like I said the word cute like every 5 minutes walking down the streets.
Yeah, and the great food culture, great coffee culture.
Oh,
They
coffee
seriously love the
culture.
cafes.
Yes, and what's amazing about it is that it's not only about the coffee, it's about the experience and spending quality time and just slowing down. It's called Fika.
Yeah.
Yes, where you kind of bounce around from coffee shop to coffee shop, eating pastries, just enjoying each other's company. So, I mean, we did that one of our days, basically the whole day we just dedicated to that. It was raining and pretty cold. That was amazing. One of the top days for sure.
The weather did turn around for us. So the first couple days it was super cold, very rainy.
People were in puffy jackets, and I was like, this is not giving Euro summer. But,
No. But it did warm
maybe I
up.
should have checked the weather before I packed for this trip.
Yeah, we got blessed at the back half of the trip, and when the rest of our team arrived, we got to the Airbnb. It really did
was
warm
beautiful.
up, like for like the last leg. So we were definitely graced by that.
And the sun set at like 10:30 p.m., but not even fully set. Like it never got dark. It was just darker. But then the sun would rise at like 3:30 a.m. So I came back with a lot more color and tan, even though I was putting on sunscreen religiously. I think just because the sun was literally out for so many hours.
Yeah, everywhere you're going, it was so bizarre. It'd be 10:30 at night, and it would just look like it was 1 in the afternoon.
It was hard to sleep.
And people were sitting on the patio.
Yeah.
People were also very energetic. Like our Airbnb was above a couple bars, and people were
It was loud.
partying because of the Midsummer Festival.
Yeah.
They'd be out there quite late.
Which was nice, but the night before a race, not so nice. So, I don't know. I feel like my jet lag hack is actually to stay up as late as possible so that I don't wake up randomly at 2 or 3 a.m. So if I go to bed at like 12:30, I'll just stay asleep till like 5 or 6, which I thought was better. So I did that like every night before the races. Anyways, I think I would do that again just because it's such a bad feeling waking up at 3 a.m. wide awake, starving. You're like, oh no, this is much too early.
And no, I think we did a good job on the way there of acclimating to that. And yeah, I think that was my first. It was my first HYROX race in an arena. And
same here.
And the
Yeah.
venue was awesome.
Amazing.
It was fantastic.
Really good. Something, I forget who mentioned this to me, but once they said it, it was like, yes, that's the difference. The sound was so much better. So it, as anyone knows who's competed in a HYROX race, it gets very loud and very intense and kind of stuffy because there's not much airflow. But in this stadium, there was so much more space and it was a bit more airy. And then the acoustics are made for like loud music. So it didn't feel like it was loud, but you could still talk to each other and like hear yourself think. It wasn't like crazy like some of these convention centers where the sound is just like, oh my God. Very intense.
Yeah, the vibes were like immaculate in there. They have the Jumbotrons going. They had kind of like they have all like the like graphics packages.
All the bells and whistles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've got that kind of ring, like the LED ring that's
Super
like charged
cool.
up. They have like all the Jumbotrons fired up. Yeah, it was just an electric vibe in there. And even from like the first day where we kind of went in, did like the check-in, did like the whole Team Canada picture, and then the Walk of Nations, which is also a super cool experience
Yeah, it
where
feels
you
like
get
you're
to
in
enter
the
the venue.
Olympics.
Yeah, get to enter the venue with your entire country. So, and the Canadians, actually, we had a pretty good representation this year.
162, which I think must have been, I don't know, 5 times the amount of people that were there last year. So that was awesome to see. We were talking about maybe the reasons why there were so many more Canadians, and apart from maybe more general interest, we also had 3 races in Canada this year versus 1 race the year prior. So we have Toronto, Vancouver, and Ottawa. So obviously a lot more Canadians can qualify, which is awesome. So keep it up. More races in Canada.
Yeah. So first day, we do the Walk of Nations. Very, very cool. Get in, get to our seats, and then the E15 singles races fire up. And it started with the women's, and it was quite the show.
And then it really kicked off from there. So, yeah, I guess to set the stage, we had been sitting for a couple of hours, so there was a lot of anticipation, and we were very excited to get to watch the elites in real life. We stream the events all the time, but getting to see them in person was really cool because you're not only locked in on like the leaders, but you get to see the whole field and how people are moving. But yeah, I mean, we can just go into it. There was a very dramatic turn of events during the race.
Well, we had talked about it on our preview show, but it was quite clear coming into this race that the favorites were Joanna Wychik, who had won every single major so far this year.
Yeah, hard to bet against that.
Yeah, and Lauren Weeks, who has been her biggest adversary over the past couple seasons.
And we know that she's been testing different strategies and where she can push, and she's very good at pushing hard for a long period of time. So had a feeling she was going to do that from the jump.
And it did feel like there was a narrative coming into this race, and this includes us, by the way, that it was more or less a question of who was going to come in third rather than who was going to come in first and second, because pretty unanimously everybody had Joanna and Lauren.
I think even Joanna and Lauren had Joanna and Lauren.
Yeah, and then there could be 5 or 6 people who were competing for the third place on the podium. And this is why we race the races, because this one was super hectic from the beginning. Like, Lauren came out like very, very hot.
Hotter than normal. And what I noticed is that Joanna was very close on her heels. So she normally sits back a little bit and kind of lets Lauren run away with it at the beginning. And then by the time they get to the skier, Joanna is much stronger, taller on the ski, so she can kind of catch up to Lauren enough. But this first run, Joanna was like, boom, right there.
It felt like Joanna didn't want to let Lauren
was not going to let
any
her.
Sort of distance on her early, which I think ultimately, knowing that Joanna's strength are generally the sleds, like she's very strong in the push and the pull, and she's better on the ergs, she probably could have let Lauren go a little bit there.
She could have.
In hindsight, maybe not the best strategy.
And this is why these races are so interesting, because it's not just about fitness, it is strategic. And you make very quick decisions in the moment. Are you going to go with someone? Are you going to let them go by themselves? When are you going to make your move? And timing is everything when you are at that level, competing for a championship.
So someone new on the scene in the women's E15 is the American Alyssa McElney, and she's like a very accomplished marathoner who's new to the HYROX sport. She qualified, kind of backdoored in, I think in Warsaw. She finished in third and got her qualification for the Worlds. Was definitely a dark horse, but it became very obvious very early in this race that she was going to push Joanna and really give her a run.
Yeah, and she looked so steady. And, the beginning of the race, the first few stations, ski, push, pull, all eyes are still on Lauren and Joanna. Now, Lauren did fall back on the push, and Joanna was ahead of Lauren coming out of that station, which I do think is not always the case. But we knew that Alyssa loved the sleds because she talked about it in one of her pre-race interviews, saying that her strongest stations were the sleds. And in the back of my head, I was like, oh my God, if her, as a runner, her strength are the sleds, I'm like, she's going to freaking dominate this thing, because the other stations are a little bit more forgiving for, I'm going to call them the more cardio-based athlete. Anyways, she looked so good on the pull, and that's when she really broke a bit away from Joanna. And when seeing someone else that wasn't Joanna or Lauren come out first on the pull, I think the whole crowd was like, oh my God, we are witnessing something. We don't know what yet, but it is something.
Well, this was also an electric environment because the whole lower bowl was filled with all the age group athletes who had just come in for the Walk of Nations. So it was a pretty full spectator crowd. And when she came out, it was very obvious that even outside of the American section, which was going berserk for her, obviously, it became very obvious that she was the crowd favorite, and people were so excited to see someone else like it leading the race,
because people love an underdog story. Like we were talking about this too, like it is tough for someone like Joanna coming into this race. She's won everything. If she won the world championship, it's a boring story, right? Like that's just, okay, she's the best, she wins again, blah blah blah. But to have someone who is making their like kind of elite season debut pass this like creme de la creme athlete so early on, I think the crowd was like, oh my God, we are so hopeful to see something amazing here. And that's what we saw. I think Alyssa drew a ton of energy from the crowd. She was also giving a lot of energy to the crowd. Like she was smiling and waving and really looked like she was enjoying herself. So that momentum means something too. And she just kept freaking flying around and was looking so comfortable.
She just looked solid on all the stations after that as well.
Yeah,
it was just
great execution. Just did exactly what she needed to do.
And also with the runs, it was like, obviously that's a strength for her. Like her marathon,
she was running like slower than her marathon pace, so she looked fine.
She was just chilling, and she just was slowly opening up a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and eventually it got to a point where she was almost a full lap ahead.
Yes, but then the one place where we were both getting nervous was Farmer Carry, because that is where Joanna started to close the gap, and coming out of Farmer's Carry, we were like, ooh, okay, that's now closer, which is another thing to remember in these races. Like, just because you come out first on a station, it does not mean you are going to hold that. It's very difficult to hold on, and anything can happen. So we knew also that Alyssa was going to need probably at least 30 seconds on Joanna heading into wall balls, because that is somewhere that Joanna will easily do 100 unbroken, and that's a strength of hers. But Alyssa, as a newer athlete and runner, a little bit more dicey, right? Like and she's obviously been pushing hard. So I think after Farmers, everyone, like the crowd is like, oh my God, keep going.
No, it was definitely, I think people were concerned because we know that that's a station that for the more experienced HYROX athletes, they are going to do 100 unbroken.
Yeah.
And we weren't sure if Alyssa had that in the tank or not at that point in time. And there's a lot of things that can happen, right? You start getting no reps. It's like your confidence can there's a lot of things
so many meltdowns at wall balls. Like sometimes it's a lock in these like regional races and the races that are a little bit more.
And the doubles, it's like there's less play there, but like in the singles, it seems like the rubber hits the road a lot at that station.
Yeah, and like we haven't even gotten to the men's yet, so small teaser. That was the most insane final 30 seconds of any race I've ever watched.
Yeah. But so we watch Alyssa. She gets to the wall balls, and she's actually able to hold off Joanna.
Like
very
barely.
Very dramatic. I think it was about 12 seconds or 15 seconds that she ended up crossing
Which
the line
is like less
Joanna.
than 10 wall balls. It's like crazy. Joanna closing that gap on her. And I'm sure that there is disappointment for her not to catch her, but I mean, how awesome to have like a new, I'm going to call it like a friendly rivalry.
Yeah, and so a new world champion too. So some fresh blood into the sport.
Yeah.
That was great to see. Lauren actually, I think,
clawed her way back after a really tough push.
she had a hard day.
Her sled looked bad, but I also think she went out hot, and she knew that. She knew she had to swing for the fences, and that's the difference in these championship races, and it's why you can't compare them to other races or environments, because the strategy matters, and she knew what she had to do, and didn't work out.
Yeah, I think when you're towing that line, you either have the breakthrough moment or it's like you blow up and it gets effed up.
Yeah.
And that's what happened for Lauren. But I do think that she did Alyssa a favor, because I think she drags Joanna into some pretty deep water on those first couple runs.
Yeah.
And I think Alyssa was able to capitalize on that opportunity that was opened up by Lauren. Opportunity that was opened up by Lauren.
Yeah.
By making Joanna go hard right out of the gate and being a little bit more conservatively, and then she was able to drop the hammer and really just hold her off for the rest of the way.
We didn't even mention our third place finisher yet, but Sinead Bent, our girl.
Happy for her.
Very happy for her. She has looked so strong and consistent all season. And honestly, she was oscillating a bit with Joanna there too. Like, I don't think we've ever seen Sinead that close to Joanna in a race. So she has definitely made some big jumps in her own fitness and racing. So I'm very excited to continue to watch her development and like growth next season. But yeah, crazy how coming into this race, it was the Lauren and Joanna show. And now there are a lot of athletes that are kind of creeping in.
Yeah, well, even we looked at the times, it was like around a 57 minute or just shy. She was 1 second, I think, into the 56s.
Yeah.
Alyssa. I mean, we had a couple age groupers that were in the 57s, low 57s on the weekend, and they weren't even racing on the elite grid. So,
I know, I've seen a lot of posts comparing the results from the elite races to the age group races. And I think it was Ryan Douglas, he actually commented on one of these posts, and I appreciated what he said, because he was like, yep, it's like awesome to think about where I would have placed with this time against these athletes, but anyone who knows what it's like to toe a line with that group knows just how hard they go out and just how hard it is to compete with those athletes in that head-to-head environment. So I do think, yes, you can kind of roughly figure out where someone is based on physical fitness, but as we said, like, you could get dragged into something that you don't want to get dragged into, and your race plan goes out the door, and that 57 minute turns into a 1 hour plus race. So, but we did see some phenomenal age group athletes for sure.
Well, speaking of pacing correctly in the men's race, it was all about Dylan Scott. Dylan was
incredibly happy for him.
He's just got a good vibe. He's got good, wholesome energy. Generally seems like he's really, really well liked by everyone in the HYROX community. And he ran a really great race. I think he was 14th early on into the ski erg. He was like 12th into the sleds. And he was really just playing from behind.
Yeah, I rewatched the race, and like, he was not even in the conversation at the point of sleds. He was, I think, still in the back, like, little group of athletes coming into that. And really where he started to move was burpees. And he just slowly climbed, hunting people down one by one. But we hear this all the time, that the race is not won on the ski erg. And it's hard to remember that when you're starting this race, because there's adrenaline, it's a championship, you think you have a little bit more to give, but you don't. And so to watch an athlete at that level execute their race plan in that way, and see it work out where they actually beat everyone else was amazing.
This was also T though, and I think that the men also came out pretty hot. And
even more hot than the women. It was like a ego fest.
It seems like Winich and Ronchevich and Hunter, who was basically leading the entire way until last run after lunges, and also did 4 unbroken sled pushes, by the way. Like,
that was cool to see.
What a monster that guy is. He's so entertaining.
Yeah, and for anyone who has not raced a HYROX or is early in racing HYROX, the trick with the sleds is not to necessarily do it as fast as you can. It's really about managing your own lactic acid buildup. So you might be better off having a slower push, but braking more frequently, and then you come out of that station a lot fresher. If you cook your legs on the push, you're done for the entire race. And those, 20, 30 seconds you gained there are going to get eaten away on every single run, and it's going to be awful. So you have to execute that station. I mean, like any station, but you really have to stick to your own plan and listen to your body and not get caught up in what others are doing. But for Hunter to do that unbroken was very impressive. But he trained for that, and you
could tell that he was ready.
He knew he was going to do that.
Yeah, he was. That was 100% his race plan. And Ronchevich was trying to keep up with him. I think he did 3 unbroken as well.
That's what I mean.
But then that was maybe RIP for him.
Yeah, and then he was way back in the field, kind of after burpees. I think it really caught up to him, and that's why.
I think he got dragged into something there that Hunter was obviously training for and ready for.
That's why the championship races are hard.
And Alex, I think, tried to match him, and I think he did exactly what you said. I think he cooked his legs a little bit, and he kind of faded after that. And that
happens to the best of us.
That was basically the Tim and Hunter show the rest of the way,
which is always fun to watch.
They got a lot of friendly banter back and forth. It's a friendly rivalry.
A lot of their interviews are pretty hilarious. I think they were probably lightly chirping each other on the course too. Would love to hear them mic'd up.
What also was a hilarious moment was after the first run on the ski erg, everyone had seen what happens to, I think it was Lauren on the sled push, and that the first lane wasn't moving very well. So all the men collectively basically slowed down.
It looked like they were like practically jogging. I'm like,
it was
what's
really
going
funny.
on? And Luke Greer, he was like laughing, and his hands were just dangling by the side. I'm like,
Hunter and Tim and Alex, and they were all just basically like putting on the brakes because nobody wanted that first lane.
I know. And then I think Ronchevich ended up getting it, and maybe that was also rough for him, and he had a hard time with it. But what was interesting about that is that since they all slowed down, it's like
the rest of the field caught up.
Literally all of these men started pushing the sled within seconds of each other.
Yeah.
They lost whatever gap they had from that first run and ski, which cooked them. So I'm not surprised that the top 5 athletes we saw at the start of the race did not win the race.
No.
They all ran themselves into the ground with each other.
There's another point that we may have glossed over here, but it was Cole's race.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we got to talk about that. Our Canadian Elite 15 athlete, Cole Learn.
Yeah, so we were watching the sled push, and it seemed like a judge came over and stopped him when he was on the last length, and he was having a conversation with her. And we kind of looked over and we were like, well, what's going on with Cole? Like, why is this judge talking to him?
Push is also like, no one really gets a penalty on push. So it's kind of weird. It's like, what's going on?
Yeah. So we're watching this and trying to figure it out. And then he just kind of throws his hands up in the air and basically gets escorted off the grid. And it becomes clear to us, like after a little bit of time, that what's happened is that he actually got DQ'd.
Yeah, and since we were watching it live, we were not seeing the close-up streaming, which you can, kind of get a more intimate look at the athletes when you're streaming it live.
And they have the commentary with the referees and all that.
So we were all like, what's going on? I think a couple of people did some digging. We were sitting with a group and someone said, oh, I think he might have left the ski erg too early. And I remember distinctly seeing him kind of leave the ski erg, hesitate and look back. And then his judge motioned for him to go. So he went. And I remember in my head being like, oh, he probably I don't know, wanted to make sure it hit 1,000 because it has to hit 1,000 meters before you leave. Mm-hmm. And so apparently it only hit 999.
Well, according to him, he said that it did roll over to 1,000.
Yeah,
but he left the platform of the ski before it rolled over.
And the rule states that if you leave the ski erg early, it can be anywhere from a 10-second penalty at the minimum to a DQ at the highest severity. Now, we've since learned that since this was a world championship race, they were holding athletes to the highest standard, as they should, and that is why it was a DQ and not a 10-second penalty. So, very disappointing. I mean, I think that they should have just let him finish the race, and maybe, I don't know, maybe he just still gets DQ'd, but it felt like to just be stopped. I don't know. Something about it felt icky to me. And very unfortunate.
I think really the punishment here did not fit the crime.
Absolutely not. And it's unclear, when a rule is vague like that, it's unfortunate too, because you can't really dispute it. And it is up to the discretion of the judges on the floor and, reviewing the tapes and everything. They have since made some changes to the rules and made it more clear, which is good, but it's unfortunate that he had to be the example of that. So, yeah, super deflating, devastating, obviously, as an athlete. And you're all jacked up, ready to race, and then it's eight minutes in, you're like, oh, I guess I'm out of here.
Yeah, and just to add insult to injury, the way that the race ended up playing out was Hunter got passed by Tim, who was kind of showboating to the crowd also, by the way.
Never showboat.
Never showboat.
So embarrassed. I remember I said to you, or we were talking about him showboating, and then you said, oh, he must know that he has 100 unbroken wall balls on lock, or he wouldn't be showboating like this. And then he absolutely did not have 100 unbroken wall balls.
No, that was so bizarre. And I think that he knew that he was going to be able to beat Hunter. But what ended up happening was Tim kind of got into the station, and there was a couple racers that were near him. Louis Oslier, obviously Tim, Hunter.
Luke Greer was right up there too.
Yeah, another marathoner, as we start to get taken over by the pro marathoners who are now finding the sport with massive aerobic engines.
To all the marathoners listening to this, if you have an affinity for strength training or you want to get into strength training, dedicate some time to it and you will be an absolute monster, because it is clear that having a high aerobic engine is
the most valuable
thing, and it takes the longest to develop. So all of you have been developing it for years. You just have to pretty much learn the skill and technique of the stations and give her a go.
Yeah. Well, we've seen Alyssa, we've seen Luke, Saskia Millard and Holly Archer.
Oh my God,
also two runners who exploded onto the scene this year.
Top athletes.
Yeah, and great to see the new blood. Also our Canadian, Maddie.
Oh, yes. Running background, huge advantage. But wall balls are a little tough for the runners. We've seen that happen. So,
yeah.
You gotta figure it out.
Some training that needs to happen, because we've also seen them take a lot of penalties when they come into the race for starters. But, yeah, it's definitely a good starting point. Anyhow, back to the men's race. Wall balls, Tim enters in first, and it's kind of a dogfight up there, but it looks like Tim is going to end up beating out the first 4 or 5 competitors. But what we didn't see was Dylan Scott just sneakily down the line, actually going 100 unbroken, despite his weird wall ball mechanics and him not feeling like
His
it's his
wall
best
balls
station.
look a little odd,
They
not gonna
look
lie.
gritty. Like he kind of leans over the ball when he gets to the bottom.
Down almost. He gets very low.
But
He's a
100
tall
unbroken.
dude.
100 unbroken.
Yeah, and he was even surprised. Like any athlete at that point in the race, you're just so focused on yourself and getting to 100. And I listened to a few interviews with him. He said he kind of was hearing a bit of the commentary of what was going on. It was like, oh, Tim and Hunter and Tim's here. And they were saying the number of wall balls left. And then all of a sudden he's like 94. He's like, that's me. And then they're like, Tim, 93, like 95. And he realized that they were counting down his and Tim's against each other. So at like 97 wall balls is basically when he figured out he was currently in the lead. And then when he...
What a time to figure it out.
Well, I know, and we were watching, and it's like your eyes are darting back and forth because...
You're watching like 4 or 5 counters.
Yeah, you're looking at all the counters. All of them are in the 90s, and you're like, oh my God, what is going on? And then when Dylan ran up, I mean, yeah, you can watch the video. I'd highly recommend anyone just watch the final minute of his race on YouTube. But when he crossed the line, you could see he kind of turned around to see. He's like, how am I in the lead? And then Tim like very quickly runs after him, and it was a really chaotic kind of...
Yeah, it was a chaotic finish, and part of the reason why as well was because Tim missed a rep on the wall balls.
His last rep was a no rep, but I think him seeing Dylan run, all he was thinking of, oh my God, I got to get this and go. And then he missed his rep. He tried to go back and do it, but then you could see that the judges were already kind of like, no, it's just going to be a penalty. And it is. We know that it's in the rule book.
But this is also probably like part of the reason why the whole Cole thing stings. It's because Tim misses 1 rep on the wall ball. Cole leaves the platform maybe 1 meter shy of 1,000 or 1 meter early, allegedly, is like the way that the story's been told. Cole gets DQ'd. Tim gets a 15-second penalty.
Yeah.
And it seems like, if anything, Cole should have also just got a 15-second penalty. That would have been more fitting.
So... Again, it's unfortunate that we are learning about these gaps in the rules through athletes suffering as a result. So, I mean, it's not Tim's fault that the rule states 15 seconds per missed wall ball, and it is not his fault that the ski erg rule is much more vague.
No, this is not on Tim at all.
No, but what HYROX has since done, and they've overhauled their rules significantly, any station that is not complete, I think, is a DQ now. So if you don't complete any of them, it's a DQ. And there are much more clear rules around that, and yeah.
I'm curious about this because some of the conversation, like, I know it makes sense on the elite level for this, but I am curious what this will mean for age groupers. Because
if you don't finish.
Well, like, for example, what if you, like, miss a lap when you're running? Technically didn't finish the lap.
Oh, no, I think that's still
what if you
minute
miss,
penalties.
or what if it's like Farmer's 3 lap and an age grouper does 2? Do they just get DQ'd then?
I think so.
Like,
yeah.
That's it? You're cooked?
So what I've seen a couple of judges, like volunteer judges and HYROX judges post online. One of them said that, there's different standards for different racers. When you are in the Elite 15, you are held to the highest standard of the rule, as you should be. When you are age group top 10 podium contender, you are also held to a very high standard. Like when I'm racing age group in the fast heat, I have much more scrutiny with the judges when I'm on the floor.
Oh, it was the same thing for us in Ottawa. We had our own elite judge
Yes.
who was following us around the course, meeting us at every station, and he was just sticking with us for the lunges, for the burpees, for like push, pull, everything.
But the volunteers also understand to give grace for athletes who are newer and are not, up for a podium or top X% finish. And when they do break a rule, they use it as a time to educate and inform on what the rule is. But they're not sitting around handing out the same level of penalizations, which I personally am fine with. I think that's totally fine.
I 100% agree.
And so I think, if you leave the skier early and you're going to
run an hour and a half or whatever in an open division.
Yeah. So I think there is still some discretion, which is fine, but making it very clear what standard you are going to be held to when you are going for a podium or a championship race is what was much needed.
Yeah. And also, to be clear, an hour and a half in the open division is a fantastic time.
Yes.
We aren't hating on the times. We're just identifying the fact that if you are in contention for a podium and perhaps a world championship spot, that they are going to be stricter on the rules, which I think makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So
they've overhauled the rule system. Dylan Scott gets the win, and surprisingly, Louis Osler gets second because of Tim's 15-second penalty. This was kind of an inconspicuous one because we haven't really heard his name hardly at all, really, through the entire season.
Yeah, there's a lot of European athletes who have been in this sport for a while, and there's reasons why some people have better years than others, but I think when you're not on the kind of fitfluencer side, it's easy to forget that people exist and are highly competitive. So awesome to see. I mean, it's not a new name in the sport, but it felt like a new name for us given the commentary all season. So and then the other kind of crazy thing that happened at wall balls was to Charlie Botterill, who is a very sweet, charming English chap. So he had a camera actually get in the way of his wall ball target, and I guess his wall balls weren't counting as a result because they were hitting this camera or something was happening.
Something bad happened.
They ended up giving him 7 seconds back, taking that off of his time, and that would put him 1 second behind Tim. This
after the penalty,
arbitrary 7 seconds. So he now finished fourth, third.
It's like if it was 8 seconds, he would have gotten the podium. Which
is probably why they were like, oh, we probably can't just give him 8 seconds to podium him. It's a weird situation. I feel for him. Hard to know what would have happened without that weird thing.
And he had a rough season too, it felt like. It was definitely up and down. There were some races where it felt like he was in the field, but he was coming in bottom 5 after a really strong start in qualifying, I think, at the first major.
Yeah.
It was then he was just grinding the rest of the year. So we were happy for him to have this result against the best of the best in the World Championship race. But, that's a tough judging decision that ultimately potentially cost him a podium.
Yeah, and poor guy, as we transition into the doubles races, but spoiler alert, he came fourth in doubles as well. So I think it's obviously it's an amazing result to be fourth in the world, but when you're that close to a podium, I do think that stings twice in a row.
Yeah. So doubles, this one was a little bit easier to sniff out. We didn't really see as much parity here. I will say for the men's, one thing that was interesting that you pointed out was Winich and Ronchevich who won the race outright. I don't think we were really surprised by that. They both were kind of out for blood after their singles race.
Totally out for blood. You could see it in their eyes. They were like, we're freaking winning this thing. Leave us alone.
So it's those two. It's Hunter and Jake Williamson, who also were contenders for the world record earlier in the season. They kind of had a wall ball snafu.
They're a very sweet pairing.
Yeah, we like those two. The content's incredible. And
hilarious.
In the third place, the feel good story, Rich Ryan and Pelayo Menendez.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Pelayo had a rough season as well. He was dealing with injuries all year.
And so was Jake Williamson. So props to these athletes for getting themselves healthy enough to toe the line and really go all in.
Yeah, and they looked fantastic. The point that you had made, I thought, was an astute one, that all three of these pairs are mixed nationalities.
Yeah.
Which means that under the new rules that they're employing next season, that none of them will be able to qualify for Elite 15 events because they aren't of the same nationality. Do you think that that's good or bad for the sport?
I think it is bad for the short term. And for right now, I think it is kind of sad when you see athletes who have cultivated such a close-knit relationship and friendship that they're competing at the highest level. Of course they want to still compete in Elite 15, and they are now forced to find new partners. HYROX has doubled down and tripled down on that, making it very crystal clear that that rule is not changing. There are going to be no exceptions. If you have a dual passport, you have one opportunity to change which one you want to use. And yeah, they're making it very clear that it will be same nationality going forward. But when I think 3 years down the road, it will be very fun to cheer for countries and teams in that way. Even just seeing how excited we were to have Cole represent Canada, like, I think it adds a level of camaraderie and community that we don't have in the doubles yet right now. So I feel for the athletes, but I understand why the change was made, and I'm sure there were other reasons too.
And a lot of doubles pairings do just have partners from their same nation, just because it makes training easier. It's like they're both from the same area. I do feel for the teams that don't have partners from their nation already, because sometimes everybody's been snapped up. Or it seems like for example, for Al Ronchevich, he's going to have to go find an Austrian sprinter or something to be on his team, because it seems like the depth of field is like the USA, for example, where they have 5 or 6 athletes. They're always sniffing around the E15.
Yeah, if you're from England or the US, you're going to be just fine. There's a million people to pick from. So Canada, not bad. I'd love to see our Canadian boys up there, or girls, both.
It feels like Fred and Cole are going to be tandem
hunting
to be reckoned
down
with.
Yeah.
And it's great to see that we have so many great Canadian athletes in this sport now.
Yeah, so again, another reason to get excited about that is that we are going to see more, I think, country camaraderie with the doubles. But, oh my God, going back to the actual race itself, there is no room for error in the doubles races. In both the women's and the men's, they are going so hard, pushing so aggressively from the jump. Your transitions have to be perfect. You have to get no penalties, which is very difficult to do in the doubles races because the transitions can get a little messy. So honestly, amazing result for the winners to actually pull off a win.
Are you surprised by the fact that it seems like the teams that have successful relationships in the doubles are not always teams or individuals who are successful in the singles?
I'm not surprised at all.
And what I mean by that, yeah, because it's like when you look at, for example, Rich Ryan and Pelayo, fantastic doubles pairing, but I don't think that either of them would really be in contention at this point in their careers for a singles podium. But together, like as a doubles team, they were able to beat the best of the best.
Yeah, it's a not completely, but somewhat of a different skill set in the doubles, but it's also matching the correct athlete with someone that complements them and allows them to show off their strength. And if your strength is running, like we saw that with Saskia Millard and Holly Archer, both incredibly strong runners, very good on the stations too, but where they pull ahead of the field is in the running. So they were not in the elite races this past weekend, but
next year.
They will be next year, and they won the world championship age group podium spot. So yeah, I found it like it hurt my eyes to watch the doubles races because everything's happening so quickly, and it's hard. I don't know, it can be a little hard to follow. You're like, oh my God, everyone's just going so hard. And I don't think anyone is letting up at all anytime soon.
Well, with the women's, it was no surprise. Lauren and Vivian that won. They were pretty clear favorites.
I mean, yes, but like listening to how Lauren talked about it after the fact, she was like, nothing about that was comfortable. And that was like very hard from the jump. And we knew we were going to have to go hard, and we knew we couldn't make any mistakes.
This is another situation where I found it interesting that Joanna and her partner, Jess Petro, Jess seems like she's a monster on the doubles. Like, she was actually leading Joanna on a ton of the runs. Whereas, like, it just to the conversation we were just having, she's not really a championship contender at the moment in the singles, but seems like a force to be reckoned with in the doubles.
Yeah, I wonder if that was part of her training strategy, because we know that she put in a really big running block over the winter, and then she showed up to the APAC regional championship race, I think expecting to have a very strong result because she had just put in this big running block. And I mean, she still raced very well, but I think she probably let off the gas on some of the strength or station work, and as a result, was not as strong in the solo race. But yeah, watching her just hold on to Lauren in that first run, looking very strong. I actually think she was ahead of Lauren on the first run, which, like, no one is ahead of Lauren on the first run. The men times are barely ahead of Lauren.
Well, it's funny, even watching, we weren't even going to talk about the mixed relay national thing, but we could talk about that too. Yeah. But like, Lauren's hilarious out there. She was actually trying to track down Cole on one of the runs, which was extremely funny to watch, because even after the fact, she was like, well, you know what? Maybe that was a mistake trying to keep up with Cole
going into burpees.
Run. Yeah. But just like such an entertaining like weekend, so many events. So it was Lauren and Vivian that win the elite women's race. For the men's, obviously Al and Tim. Sinead and Lucy Proctor also making a podium,
they were
which are one of our favorites,
to
as we
watch.
Mentioned.
Yeah, so seeing Sinead come away with 2 podium spots, and I think Lucy was top 5 or top 6 solo.
Great weekend for Lucy.
Yeah, and she also had a tough season. I think we were talking about that in our previous episode, but I really love her as an athlete, and so watching them win that podium together was awesome.
And as for the mixed relay national races, just entertaining. I think that there's actually a big opportunity here for the sport, because there's so many lead changes and so many opportunities for different strategies in this race format that it was probably the most entertaining race of the weekend. I mean, we just watched it like eating pizza on a patio.
Yeah,
like
very
in downtown
eagerly.
Stockholm on an iPhone, and we were all glued to it.
I know. I think we originally thought it was just going to be kind of background and we would just check in. But yeah, super entertaining. And just to give some context, so it's the 2 women and 2 men that have the highest number of points for the season that are appointed to their mixed relay team. And you can divide the stations any way you want. So it's pro weight for women, pro weight for men, and everyone does 2 stations. So you do 1 run and then a station. Ideally, you would not be doing that back to back, so you kind of space it out. I think generally the men are on the ergs because naturally their times are just going to be a lot stronger. But what was interesting was then seeing like some women on the sleds and then some men on the sleds, and women in burpees and men on burpee. Like, watching everyone kind of go head to head with each other was super fascinating. And
the strategy employed by the team captains to try to utilize the strengths of their team. Like, for example, for like a station, like for example, burpee broad jumps would generally be like the guy who would be on that station. Like for us, I think it was Cole, right?
Yeah.
like for the Americans, it's like they have Lauren Weeks, who is just an absolute monster
If you
on
watch
burpees.
Lauren Weeks do burpees, you'll understand why. She just flies.
So I think tactically there's actually a lot of changes that can be made here. I find it actually super fascinating. And I do think that there's probably an opportunity here to grow the sport quite a bit and just have an entertaining part of all these championship style races if they can implement these relays a little bit more, because I found it just supremely entertaining.
Like you want to see more relays?
I want to see more relays. Like I would be interested, and I don't really want to spill the beans on my idea here, but it's like it
Spill
feels.
it. You can still take credit.
I could take credit. Okay, this is my official statement that this is my idea, and if anybody else says it's their idea, that includes you folks over at HYROX, that I need some sort of commission or at least like tickets to the cruise or something.
Wow, I'm excited. What's this idea?
I think that they should be like implementing teams for this relay, but you could even do like brand sponsor teams, or like it could be like the Nike's team and the
Puma
Adidas team.
team.
Yeah, Puma on.
That'd
you could
be
get brand
really
sponsorships, get the athletes involved. Like you get to choose your team, get your athletes who are signed to your brand. And you could just do almost like a series throughout the season where, I don't know, for example, it's like if you did the push, maybe you can't do that station again. And you have to be strategic about who's doing what, where. And you could make it almost like an F1 series, which they seem to be borrowing a lot from as the season goes along.
Wow, this is a good idea.
It would be awesome. Like I would love
that.
watching it, and then you could have the points for like the season, and it would be like, just very, very entertaining. And it would just be expanding on the format that has already been wildly successful at these world championships with the national races, and even get more interest in it for then that event when you get to the end of the season.
Yeah. I mean, I would watch all of them, and especially if there were local races to like having some of the
I mean, can you imagine like watching the Adidas team? It would be like Alyssa McElhenney and Cole
and Saskia
and who's like Kat Fassbender.
Yeah,
was like on the team. It would just be so wildly entertaining, and that'd be like Nike. It'd be like Lauren and like Dylan Scott and like, oh man,
Calypso.
It would be so wildly entertaining.
Love that. Okay, so we want more mixed relay. We want more community involvement, brand involvement, and we want more excitement because the lead changes are so fun to watch.
I think that's actually a great way to get interest in the sport too, because like I think one thing that we've seen with other sports is that if you don't really understand what's going on, it can seem a little monotonous. So for us, it's like we know what it is to be pulling on the skier, and we know like that these little transitions and who's strong where. In the relay, it's just electric because everybody has strengths everywhere. There's so many lead changes. It's like maybe somebody is leaving their anchor for wall balls and this team's trying to take an early lead. Like for us, Cole went out so hot because he was so pissed off after his DQ.
It was pretty funny.
He was just like out like a laser beam on that first run. It was like Canada first into the ski. And it was like so fun to watch.
Yeah, and I do like that it's often the women on wall balls to round it out too, and seeing all the women battle it out. So yeah, I would love to see that as well. But overall, great way to end the weekend. I think Canada ended up coming 6th in the mixed relay, which is great for them. Australia won, which we loved to see because
I think they won last year too. They're back to back now.
Yeah,
they're going for the three-peat.
Very strong
Chicago Bulls.
Very strong team indeed. So yeah, I mean, we had so much fun. I love the championship environment and the level of energy and I guess budget, honestly, too. Like the event itself was quite impressive. So it's very cool and privileged to be part of something like that. But yeah, now we get to rest a little bit. I mean, we didn't even talk about our races. I feel like that could be like a whole other episode practically.
I think we might have to just do that in another episode because I feel like we've been talking for a long time about these elite races.
I can't even remember what happened in my race after reliving the elites. And I was honestly more excited to watch some of the elite races than even my own, to the point where like my race was 8:50 a.m. the Friday morning and the elite races were Thursday night. But I was so locked in. I wanted to stay late. Like, I don't know, we got home at like 10 p.m.
I think we were debating leaving for the men's race, and then it started,
So
and we started
happy
seeing the
we
drama,
stayed.
and we were like, well,
I almost left halfway through the men's race because
God.
I was like, oh, well, Cole's out and I don't really care what happens and it's going to be Tim or Hunter. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, things are happening.
Yeah.
Very happy we stayed.
Yeah, that was amazing. Maybe we should just go through our races now and just make this a long recap episode because it's the World Championship recap. So
Okay, everyone buckle up. Hope you're
we'll keep
doing a long run or
Yeah,
bike or something.
We'll keep the pacing good for this part, though. We had 3 races on the weekend. I had pro doubles, you had singles, and then we had mixed doubles. So maybe we'll just go in order.
Yeah.
You were on the Friday morning right after the E15 race, your singles race. Fantastic results.
Thank
I thought
you.
like you looked really good in your heat. Actually ended up setting a PB on the day, which is amazing. You cracked the 105 mark.
Yeah, thank God. After last year's World Championship race where I came away with a high 106, I really had my sights set on 105 all year, and to get it, the final race of the season was awesome. I really didn't look at my watch the whole time, so I was just trusting in how I felt, and it felt like I was going to be fast. I guess I'll start from the beginning. In terms of fueling, I just like, simple bread, butter. I think maybe I had an egg that morning. I think you made me an egg, so I probably did have that.
I think on the doubles morning, you for
the
sure
doubles
had,
morning,
you for sure had
you
an
did.
egg.
Yeah.
I think you might have just had a bagel on.
I just had a bagel and butter.
That's it. Delish.
I brought a
Breakfast of
banana,
champions.
and I took bicarb for my solo race. So I've been doing that, not every race, but most of them, and I find it helps manage some of the lactic buildup, or at least mentally it makes me think I do, which is always a bonus.
I think it's good for that kind of a distance, like of a race, though. Like even Rich Ryan was saying that, like sometimes he takes it for his HYROX specific workouts.
Yeah, it's really a good product.
I'm gonna have to give that take a little sniff of that.
Absolutely, 2 hours to 90 minutes before your thing. That's when you take it. So my strategy going into this race was to press on the runs and to execute just strong stations and to not get panicked or anxious or nervous if I had some sort of equipment malfunction or failure, because we know that's a variable that's part of the race. And part of what I wanted to do was visualize those things happening and like how I would react in the moment and stay calm and composed and like focused on the goal. Because I find when I rehearse things like that, it's much easier to deal with in the moment. And anyways, I did have to deal with some things in the moment. So my ski erg actually was broken. I
got that twice?
Yes, I got it twice.
Spoiler alert.
So when you're pulling, I think pulling at a high cadence, I don't know, it kind of like makes it almost more likely to happen where the string gets kind of like caught when you're pulling on it.
Yeah, that equipment gets beat up too, especially on a World Championship weekend.
I was like, this thing is so old. I'm like, why is this even here? Like, put it away. So I made it to like 700 meters and then it was not pulling down, which, I don't know, let's say it cost me 3 to 5 seconds total. That was frustrating. I'm like, frick, this is a hard station for me and I can't afford to spend any more time here. So whatever, came out of the ski like pretty far back in my heat.
I think you were like
back.
One of the last 5 people off the ski.
Was I actually?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but I also for context, I was like, this is also a part of the plan.
It is a part of the plan.
Whereas like we know that like everybody goes out
I'm
hot.
like Dylan Scott, just hanging out at the back.
Yeah. Well, it's like
we
know that people go out hot on the ski, and we know that like they're going to pay for it later.
Yes.
And we also know that your strength in particular is the running.
Yeah. So
I think then coming into the push though, you had already made up like a lot
I know.
of ground.
I noticed that. I was like, okay, I'm running, like, because you run down the grid to your sled, so you know kind of roughly where you are. I was like, okay, I think in the top 10 now. That's good. My sled push felt honestly normal. I think I've said this before. My sled push is typically around 250 to 255, like every single time, except for the times when I've had a harder sled. But anyways, that was consistent, so happy there. And then when I came into the pull, I think I was like second in my heat. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, am I at the right place? I'm like, where am I? I swear there were more people in front of me.
During the race.
I did. Because I have made the mistake where I've run out the wrong place and I was penalized for it. So I do take a minute to like make sure I'm in where I need to be. So, or not a minute, like a second. But my pull felt amazing. And we talk a lot about the sleds. We're not going to go into the variables there, but it felt really nice to get a normal sled, especially in a race like a championship race. So I pulled, I think, just under 4 minutes, which is the fastest I've ever done the sled pull. I did have some technique adjustments there. So, what is it like? You kind of
cinch the rope on your backhand.
Yeah, and it's supposed to take some of the pressure off and allow you to just get better leverage.
I also felt good with that adjustment.
Yeah, so I felt great.
Thank you, Michael Sonbach.
I know, we watched that video like
on the plane, I think.
Yeah, and I remember thinking, I'm like, perfect. I'm just going to do that.
We're like, that sounds good, Mike. We're gonna implement that in your race. Nothing new on race day, but we're gonna try something new on the sled
That felt good. And I mean, I guess I could go through every station. I don't want to bore everyone, but the burpees felt really good too.
Yeah, so you were fast there.
I implemented the knee up technique, which I previously was nervous about doing because I had done it before and I was so much slower because I'm not very quick. I'm just not like a quick person. Like I'm fast at running, but I don't move my body quickly. So I struggle with things like that.
Also, it's like the mobility. We all know it's like you have the injury. Your knee mobility isn't like always the best. So the knee up can be a little clunky at times.
Yes, but I was jumping so much farther than I've jumped before.
You looked good on those.
So,
it was very smooth, very consistent.
Thank you.
By far your fastest time.
Yeah, 3.5 minutes. Very happy with that.
Yeah, great improvement.
I normally am closer to 4 minutes. I think in Ottawa I was like 4:20. So, yeah.
I will say it's like I think that it was obviously there was a lot of commentary through the weekend that the venue was a little bit warm, that maybe slowed people's times, that the run course wasn't the fastest. But I do think that the way that they had the station set up was pretty optimal. Like just having to do 2 straight shots on the burpees saves you a lot of time. And on the farmers, just like having to do 2 laps instead of 3 or 4.
It's
like,
true.
So much better.
The less turning, the better. Even though sometimes you look up and you're like, oh God, this is kind of a long straightaway.
Yeah. You're like, well, if I have to turn,
it's even longer.
I don't think I realized how much time you actually lose there.
Yeah.
But very smooth. You look great on that. And also on the lunges, you also looked super smooth.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Fast forward to lunges. I mean, I guess row, pretty average. Farmers, I ended up going almost unbroken. I took 1 pause. And then when I picked them back up, really ran with them. So that was fine. And then, getting to lunges was, again, I was nervous because when I did lunges in Ottawa, I was so cooked. It, again, was like way over 4 minutes.
Can we also just say, shout out to our homie Joe Rideout, who had a top 5 farmers carry on the weekend in the world.
This video was on some sort of speed up mode. I'm like watching this video 5 times going, is this real? He was literally sprinting with the men's pro weight.
I think it might have been on like 1.2.
Okay, but he still, regardless, was like close to a minute, I think.
He did like a 1:15 or something like that on the farmers, which is insane. That's probably like 15 seconds faster than my fastest farmers.
Yeah, like
and
I'm
top 5 on the weekend and with like pro.
He really went all in on farmers.
He was ready. Like, Joe Rideout, I salute you. You were ready to roll on the farmer's carry.
It's really impressive.
And now you will hereby be known as Joe FC Rideout.
What a great name. I want to be known for something. Quinlan runs. Hickey.
We're going to figure out a nickname for you. And then wall balls.
Anyways,
how do you feel?
Well, so I actually looked at my watch coming out of lunges. I think I was around 49 minutes. So if I'm doing that math in my head, I know that the run was around 4 minutes. So I'm like, okay, oh, no, is that right? No, I came into lunges at 49 minutes. Sorry, yeah. And so leaving, I knew that I was within reach of a 105. Entering wall balls, I was at like an hour 30. So in my head, I was like, you just have to do these wall balls in 5 minutes and you're good. And what I had not appreciated was that the last 2 races I've had, I have felt actually okay going into wall balls, and I've been able to execute that very seamlessly. Here, I got to 30, I took a break, and then when I picked the ball back up, I was like, oh God. I'm like, this is not good. This is bad. This is very, very bad. It was such a grind. My heart rate, I think, got to over 200 beats per minute, trying to friggin' fling that ball in the air.
It happens on that station.
It was, and I was trying so hard to stay composed and just be like, do not fall apart. Do not fall apart. And when I got to 80, I remember thinking, okay, I don't think I'm going to get to 20 unbroken, but I think I did maybe 7, put it down. And then when I picked the ball back up again, because at this point I was doing sets of 5. Like, it was moving very, very slow.
Just doing what you can.
Really doing what I can. I was like, just manage this as best you can and just keep picking up the ball, keep picking up the ball. And my arms, I felt like my arms were going to fall off, but I think I did the last 13 without putting it down. Woohoo. As we talk about the elites being like, oh, of course they're going to do 100 unbroken. I'm like, oh God.
Or like, I can do 20.
Best I can do is 20. So anyways, finally getting to 100, I crossed the line, 105.51. My wall ball time was like a 4:51, which actually is not that bad. If I could shave 40 seconds off of that, I would be thrilled. Which look, I say that, I know that is not easy to do.
It's 25 reps basically.
But it is one of my weakest stations comparatively to like an elite, or I say elite, but like the women operating kind of at the level above me. So I know that that is something I need to close the gap on. But all to say, I left everything I had out there. I did take a gel. I wanted to call back on that because I know that that was one of my goals, to take a gel. I forced myself to have the gel. I really didn't want to, but I think that that probably helped in the back half. I took it either before or after the row, somewhere around there. And I was on the ground, absolutely destroyed. So I really did everything I could. And I'm very proud of the race. I had a ton of fun. I think I smiled for the first 15 minutes and then was locked in.
Well, it was feeling like, too, like I wasn't surprised to see UPB. I felt like this was ripe for like your style of race, where it's like, I do think that you perform optimally when there's people around you that are also racing, because you can kind of just like, you can match their output really easily. I think.
Thank you.
So
yeah,
I was
perform
coming
well
into
under
this,
pressure.
Yeah, I think so. And it seems like when the light is bright, it's like then you are able to.
Better.
Yeah, it's better for you.
Yeah.
Which is
I
an
need
amazing
pressure.
attribute.
I'm like, someone give me pressure. Someone give me a reason to dig deep, because without that reason, it's a little difficult.
Yeah, and you know what? It's like, it was a great rebound after 2, I'm not going to say like difficult races, because like Ottawa was obviously like,
They
I think
were
a good
harder.
building block, but like Houston was a hard race for you at the end of the year.
And this, like, you always know when you gave it your all based on how you recover. Like, I felt way more recovered in my races this spring, but coming off of this one, I was so sore. I was in so much pain. I'm like, okay, yeah, I did it. I did everything I could.
Yeah, and great outcome.
Yeah, so I'm excited again for next season. We won't go into like goals and stuff there because also kind of want to give myself like a few weeks or a month to reset on what that looks like.
Also, it's like Worlds next year are in Hong Kong, so that is also something to consider. That
it's far away, far away.
It's a far cry from Chicago or Las Vegas or even like Nice or Stockholm. It's like you are on 2 flights and you are literally on the other side of the globe.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like that's something to consider as well when we're thinking about like what the goals are for next season.
Totally. So, okay, moving into men's doubles, Saturday morning, you and your partner Max hit the floor.
Yeah. I think that we were entering this one feeling like pretty good having qualified, but I'm not going to pretend that this was some sort of optimal fitness build because it was basically like 4 weeks before the race that we had qualified. So we were going in and we knew that like it was going to be a competitive field and
the most competitive.
Yeah. And like we were basically like we're just going to try to stay out of the mess and just like run the race that we want to run. I think that we did do that pretty effectively. We kind of just let everybody go on the first run. Even just took a second to pause in like the start tunnel before and just let everybody else take off and fight for positioning. And then we just went. We're like, we're just going to let them do their thing. We're one of the last teams into the ski erg, which again was totally fine.
Always part of the plan.
Yeah. And I was looking around me and everybody was hammering 138, 137 on the ski.
Unnecessary.
No, and we were pulling like low to mid 140s, so that felt okay for us, and we're just like, you know what, like we're gonna let these guys do whatever they need to do here.
Yeah.
And we know that we're probably pretty good on the sleds.
You guys looked great on the sleds.
Yeah.
Especially, and not to jump ahead, but on pull, even though it was difficult as a spectator to see the pull, I could tell by how quickly your body was moving when you were on the sled. I remember thinking, yes, it's good. It's moving well. And I was so fired up for you guys. I'm like, hell yeah, they're going to be able to really lock in after these 2 stations.
Yeah, the push was a little funny because it was steering a little bit. Like I felt like it was like the sled was like
mine did that
pulling.
too. I don't know.
It was strange because it's like that's never happened to me before where it was like I couldn't push it straight and I kept having to overcompensate or adjust. It felt like I was just bouncing off the lines of my lane, trying to keep it in. But we got through the push. That was fine. Like made up a little ground on that run. And then when we got to the pull, we did do some damage there.
Yeah.
Which is not a surprise.
You and Max are both super strong. I mean, Max especially really strong. He can put a lot of weight behind that thing and that matters.
Yeah. And he's like, this is a consistent trend when we race together. It's
you
like
always have a good sled pull.
We do make up right ground on the sled pull. So like that was good. New technique adjustment. 10 out of 10, cinching that rope with a backhand.
Great.
And, we made up, I think, about 6 or 7 spots on the pull, which was great. And then basically just started clawing our way back from there. Burpees, we made up a couple spots.
Yeah, oh my God, during your burpees, I'm sure you recognize this, but when there are double the amount of people, it was pretty busy. And you guys had just started and there was a team in front of you and you're supposed to stand in the lane directly behind your partner, not to the side because you're going to block other athletes in other lanes. And so I was like yelling at this guy in front of you being like, move! Like they're right up behind you. And I was just like clearing the path because people are everywhere. I'm like, oh my God, this is so hectic.
It was. And yeah, that was probably the hardest station, I think. Because you can't really make up that much ground because there was kind of 5 teams in front of you. So you're kind of just like matching the pace. At least everybody's moving quickly because it is the World Championship race.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we just like basically held our own like for the rest of the race. Like row is fine. You don't really make up too much ground there. Farmers is fine. Lunges,
Yeah,
like
in doubles especially, it's pretty cookie cutter kind of divvying those up.
I think we did like fade a little bit on the runs in the back half of the race, which is fine. It was like feeling like it was like a little bit warm in there. It's obviously like it's a hard race. I think we dropped about 5 to 10 seconds off our optimal run pace for like the last like 2 runs, which is okay. I think on the day.
I mean, it happens, yeah.
Yeah, but ultimately, like, we also had to adjust on our wall balls, I think, at the end. Usually we would just do 2 switches.
Yeah, how did you guys do that?
Usually what we do is I'll do the first 30, Max will rip off probably 40, and then I'll do 30. Or like something to that effect. 25, 40, 35, or whatever. But the idea is that he usually takes a bigger chunk in the middle because he's the stronger one. I'm the stronger runner usually, so I can take the first chunk and like hopefully get X amount of reps. I was getting no repped quite a few times for both. I missed the target like I think 2 or 3 times, and I also got the depth one. So I think I got to maybe 25 on my first set. It might have been 20 with like the no reps. Like, but I was like, okay, I need to switch because like I'm obviously fatigued and like mistakes are happening. So we ended up actually having to switch one extra time. Like I think I got to 80 and I did like 20, Max did 30 or 35, then I did like 20 or whatever, and we're kind of like around 80, and I was like, I can't bring this home. I can't do 20 more reps. So I tagged him in to take it home.
That's the best part about doubles. You just can give it to each other because
thank God.
You have enough, you have a bit of a break while the other person's doing it, so you should be leaning on each other for sure.
Yeah. We ended up low 57, which I think is like really respectable time. Like we were kind of like middle of the pack for our field. I think we ended up being like top 30% on the weekend, which is like great.
Yeah.
Good results. It's like I think
everyone
something that we
had to
pretty happy
win
with.
to get there.
Yeah, and it's extremely tough field. I think the thing that I have the most respect for coming away from that race is that it is such an optimization game when you get to this level. Because it's like if you make
no room for mistakes.
No, everybody is basically all the teams are 2 or 3 seconds apart. So it's like if you make up 90 doubles, seconds,
even more so. That was we'll get to that, but
no, it's like every team is like 2 or 3 seconds apart. So if you are 90 seconds better on the day, you make up 50 spots. And it's just like that's how thin the margins are. So super, super crazy race, but yeah, I think we feel good about it overall. The best performance of the weekend, though, was yours and Jesse's race.
Thank you for that nod.
Third overall age group podium. Like big shout out, you guys crushed it. Like it was dramatic right till the end.
It was dramatic. Talk about things going down at wall balls. That's where, not to spoil it, but that's where we made our move at the end of the day and ended up on the podium. So you really don't know what's going to happen until the very last second and until the race is over.
Yeah, and we thought that you had finished 4th initially because it looked like you guys were kind of going back and forth with this one team for 3rd and 4th basically the entire race. And then there was Tiago Luza and his partner, who's like a very established kind of like E15 adjacent. He's Alex Rajovic's coach. Was basically going toe-to-toe with Jesse the whole weekend.
Yeah.
And like getting the better of him by just a little bit. So in the mixed doubles race, like that team was like flying.
They were far ahead.
And then there was a French team that was right behind them almost the entire way. And then there was you and Jesse and like this
another team. We were all oscillating.
But you guys were just like back and forth, and it'd be like you guys would come in first on station, and they would come in first on station. It was
I know.
And it was so
it was
cat
a little
and mouse.
stressful. And let me tell you, when you are racing with someone as competitive and talented as Jesse Bruce and you are in 4th, I was like, oh boy, I'm in for a big day.
Yeah.
We're hunting down the podium. There is nothing about this that is comfortable. Nothing about this is easy. I am pressing. He is pressing too. We are both going as hard as we possibly can this entire race.
I actually thought that you guys were going to be in pretty good shape after the push and pull, because I was like, the team that was in front of you, the guy was a little bit bigger. And I was like, surely this man is not going to be able to be ripping burpees super fast. And you guys, I think, came into the burpee station actually with a little bit of a lead. And I was like, great, they're going to open it up here.
Yeah.
And then this man started doing like a Hunter McIntyre like frog jump.
Very far.
And it was just going so far and so fast. And I was like, oh God, like they're going to be in one.
Something funny about burpees was that before the race, Jesse said to me he was going to try the jump up technique, which is faster than step up. And then when he started doing burpees, he started doing the knee up technique. And I remember just thinking to myself, I'm like, oh boy. I'm like, we're both fucking so sore.
If you start doing the knee up, like it's double, like it's like that's when you know that you're completely
that
redlining.
Was hard, but
you guys were pressing fast on the runs, like.
And I will say something that is actually difficult about this race when you are like in the mix for a podium is that you're very tempted to just like blow past a team in one station, but you have to still have an element of control within yourself so you don't blow up. It's like you have to know what your line is. And this is the first time that I was kind of making those decisions, or that in the moment, like even getting on the row erg, for example, if I started pulling 145, 150 to keep up with the other team, it would have been too much.
That chick was a monster, by the way.
She was pulling low 140s, and I was like,
she's pulling like my race pace, basically.
That was very impressive of her, and I was like, I'm going to stay at my 155. And
those two are monsters.
Yeah, but so...
And then even on the lunges, like you guys, like that's a strong station for Jesse. You guys did start to make up some ground there. But like they were out like a little bit before you, and you coming out of the lunge station, you guys were around fourth.
We could hear where everyone was, so it was like, oh God, are we still chasing these teams?
No, it was like the surprising thing actually was you guys came into the wall balls, and it did get very dramatic because the team that was ahead of you, like Tiago, obviously they were in first. They were going to finish in first the whole way. They had like quite a large lead. The second place team, I don't really know where they were, but I couldn't see them on the wall ball grid. Like they were somewhere else. And then there was you and the team that you were vying for in third. So I was like watching this thinking, you guys need to pass that team if you want to get on the podium. Yeah. And we're watching it, and the guy's getting no reps. He's not getting low enough, which he wasn't, by the way.
Okay, good.
So
high standard. See, this is what we mean. Held to a high standard when you're competing for a podium.
Yes, and you guys were getting all your reps. You guys weren't getting no reps at all, and you were getting low.
I was getting very low based on the photos.
And we were yelling at you guys, too. We're like, stay low. They're getting no reps.
Yeah.
And like the other girl started having anxiety, and she started like yelling at the judge because she was like, this is bullshit.
This is why you have to stay composed. And it's so difficult to do, but it's part of the race.
She thought that like you guys were going to get her, and that they were going to get kicked off the podium because they were going to get no reps and you were going to pass them. And you were super close to doing that. Yeah. I think it ended up being like a 7-second gap or something.
We ended up passing the team, as you said, that was in second. This team was in third. So they
ended up in second.
They came second and we came third. And the other team just, I don't know, came fourth or fifth. They were just close behind.
I don't know what happened to the other team because they were like right on Tiago's tail the entire time. And they were like out first on the lunges. I'm sure
they were getting no rep as well.
They must have just had a meltdown on the wall
balls.
But
this is what it's like.
And I couldn't see where they were, so that's why I was so sad.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult at wall balls, but it's surprising to see that happen in the doubles races. I think what it probably is the not getting low enough and you're getting no repped. Like we do see people getting away with not going very low on wall balls in some of these other races, and they're not getting no rep because it's just different standard, non-world championship events. So it can be shocking to get up to this level, and then all of a sudden the race plan that worked for you in your local race months ago is now not working.
They were being hard on that station. Like, I was definitely like getting lower than I normally get to, which is also probably why we had to adjust our strategy there.
Right.
And we're happy that the standards are being held to that point, though, because you can't say that wasn't even across the board. It was like these judges were very dialed in.
Totally. And it was an amazing feeling passing some team and getting in second or getting in third.
When you guys passed, I thought that they effed something up, because I was like, no way that they finish in third. I was like, that other team was like,
they were
so
far ahead. Which
like,
is why, like, one of my favorite mantras is it's not over until it's over. And we knew we were gunning for the podium from the whole race. It was so competitive. It was so fast. It was so hard. And to have that effort culminate and end in a podium is such a cherry on top. And I think what helped us get there and find that gear, because we both had raced solo on the Friday and both of us were feeling like not 100% at all.
And both of you were also, I think this is like probably true for both of you, I don't think either of you was overly, well, your race went well, but I know that Jesse was like not the most enthused about the way that his race went. And it feels like sometimes it's like same thing as like Al and Tim and like the doubles race.
Oh, you're like
circle.
out for blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then also, like, I wanted him to get the podium so badly, and he wanted me to get on the podium so badly. So it felt like we were pushing extra hard for each other, and that's such a beautiful part of, like, racing as a team. And, I mean, we leaned on each other a lot. Like, there were moments that I led on the runs, because at one point I said to Jesse, I was like, I got to pull back a bit on this run. He said to me, he's like, you lead whatever feels comfortable. Just make sure you feel good. And, you know, that run, I think maybe was a couple of seconds slower than the other ones. But it's the communication and the trust and leaning on each other that makes it such a fun race and thing to do. So, yeah, to end with a podium again is just such... I'm so grateful and happy for that. And then getting to go to the awards ceremony and you get your name called and you're, you know, up there with all the best of the best is like truly a once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm hopeful it will happen again in the future to be up there, but it's not an easy thing to do, and I do not take it for granted at all.
And you see some of the times too, it's like
They're
so insanely
fast.
competitive.
They're
like
really fast.
You guys were flying, and it's like the margins end up being 5 seconds or something like that. Like at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I mean I didn't even get into our ski erg. We actually had to switch ski ergs because ours was jammed. Like the same thing that happened to me.
It was like broken.
Yeah, so I think we got to like 480 or 420, so then we had to get to 580 on the other erg, and anyways, it was just a little bit. That was a few seconds there, which is annoying because
it's like in a 7-second thing, it's like you could probably attribute 7 seconds even just there from having to switch ergs and then get the flywheel
momentum.
Going again.
Yeah, totally.
Everyone knows that it's like it takes you 3 pulls on that thing to even get it cooking. So like you get 3 pulls, you have to switch. Like that's the difference in a podium spot almost. So disappointing for sure when you have double equipment malfunctions in your races.
Now we've learned just how tight the margins are, and so that's the other amazing thing about racing. Regardless of how the result goes, there's just so much you can learn and take away from it if you are willing to be open in that way. So yeah, I'm again just so stoked, and now very happy to be taking a little bit of a breather, figure things out for next season, and go from there.
Yeah, and that also feels like just like a natural place to leave this discussion as well. But
yeah, I mean,
we've been really rattling
recapped
stuff off
so much. I'm gonna have to like take a break from talking.
I know. It was like we could talk about the rule changes and stuff, but I was like, we'll spare the listeners.
Save that for another.
There's an insane amount of content this weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, very, very grateful to have raced there. I think that's also my big takeaway is like the margins are thin. So when you get to that level, like it's tough competing against the best. But it did like reignite a fire for me as well, seeing like all those athletes in the space and understanding what it takes to get there. And also shout out to all the Canadian athletes that did so well. We didn't really talk too much about the age groupers, but Ryan Douglas also like finished first overall.
World champion.
Yeah. And beating our boy, Jack Driscoll.
Yep. We had
his boy, his former doubles partner.
Yep. We had 2 Canadian women in top 10 overall, women's pro as well. Maddie and Katie, which is amazing to see. And, 2 of our friends, Bobby and Morgan, coaches at One Academy, had an amazing race during mixed doubles as well. I unfortunately didn't get to watch really any of it except like the first run because then Jesse and I were racing at the exact same time.
I think on that day, just in the venue, I got 10,000 steps just running around between the two of your races. Well, that's how
I felt watching like Maddie and Jesse. Well, and in Sweden because Maddie and Jesse were both racing Friday afternoon. And they were about 20 minutes apart or 15 minutes apart. So we were kind of running around chasing them too. So yeah, big weekend of cheering for everyone, receiving cheers, lots of country pride, just getting to do cool things with a fun group of people and celebrate. So no complaints about that.
Yeah, my favorite part of the weekend was definitely having a nice cold beer after your mixed doubles race on the HYROX patio.
That was amazing.
Bobby, Morgan, Georgia, Maddie, like Jesse had like a nice Fanta going on. Like just to have that team camaraderie. Like that was fantastic.
Post-race beer hits different when you've waited days to have it. I so badly wanted one after the solo race. I was like, no, I should be good because I'm like, I gotta lock in.
The real pain train is coming out
Sunday.
I'm
like, this is nothing.
The singles race is nothing to running a mixed doubles race with the GOAT.
Going
Jesse
for a
Bruce.
podium spot, we were like, oh my gosh. At which, by the way, we were very inspired because earlier that day, Ryan and Lindsay finished in first in their age group for mixed doubles. So they're also world champions. So then when Jesse and I were lining up, we're like, oh my God, okay, we have to get this. And so tons of inspiration from everyone who raced. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of it, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to leave it. Yeah.
All right, well, we're back. We'll be back more consistently now that we're not traveling all around the world racing HYROX.
Yeah, we'll have more episodes for you. And it's appreciate you taking the time to listen today. Hope that is for a long run. So it's a little bit more long-winded than our usual episodes, but yeah. I guess in the meantime, stay aerobic AF.